You're listening to the Back Home Network, presented by Home Field Apparel.
All right, folks, welcome back to Crimson Cast. Scott here with you. It's Michigan week, and that's to be excited, not feared. Although I'm fighting a cold, so that's to be feared for sure. I'm getting over it, which is good. I'm ready to go. I literally went to the doctor yesterday because I can't be sick for the Michigan game. But before we get to our guest today, just two quick shout outs. First off, Home Field Apparel. Check them out. They are all over Memorial Stadium. We're going to talk about the towels here in a little bit. The thing you'll see more of than towels this weekend is Home Field Apparel. Great hoodies, great bomber jackets. Use the promo code HOME23 to get 15% off your first purchase. And Upland Brewery with the Hoosier Game Day Lager, the iconic crimson and cream can. It's awesome. You'll see that everywhere. I will be enjoying one. Upland Brewery reminds you to drink responsibly and go Hoosiers. We are excited to have Jeremy Gray on. Jeremy, man, the Indiana Senior Associate Athletic Director. I got it right for a second time. How you doing, man?
Doing great. Yeah, it's tough to fit in your lower third here.
I know.
But, excited to be joining you. And you keep talking about apparel. I'm loving the Tops hoodie. I'm a big baseball card guy from back in the day. And so, yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is not home field, but yeah, I saw this and I'm like, oh, I love the old Topps Donruss cards. I saw this. I'm like, this is fantastic. I got to get it.
I thought I was going to be able to retire on those. And then apparently they overproduced them for people like you and me.
Yeah,
and,
I know. I still have the 92 Topps set, the entire set. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be worth something. No,
not at all. But yeah, it's a great time to be with the athletic department. I mean, what a world that we're in, that we have a presidential election, and I stop watching the election results to see where IU is going to be in the CFP rankings.
I know.
We're ranked 8th in the first one in the first year of the expanded playoff, and I'm frankly pretty pissed off about it. I know. Like, it's just been that kind of year. It's been a dream, and it feels frankly sustainable, which is also more satisfying. And then our other teams are all doing really well too, so it's a great time to work here.
Yeah, no, and you've been there for a while. I think we're really close in age. I think you're either right ahead or right behind me, but for a while I always kind of joked you felt like you were next in line behind Don Fisher, but just Don Fisher keeps going. But now you've taken the announcer, not announcing, but kind of the PA announcer at Assembly Hall, which is just fantastic. And you settled into a great role kind of running some of the marketing things at IU.
It's been a great ride here. I got out of sports broadcasting a good 10 years ago, so I couldn't do it now even if I wanted to. But doing some PA for basketball, oversee the Cuban Center and our communications. And then this last spring, I was asked to take over marketing for the athletic department. I did marketing and fan experience for a couple of years in the Fred Glass era, but it's bounced around a little bit. And this spring, I got marketing back in the fold, and you know, it's a lot easier when you're 9-0.
Yeah. No, and the marketing efforts have been really good this year. And the thing we wanted to talk about and focus on is something that's kind of taken over the stadium. I'm going to take my headphones out, pull it out for those on the YouTube stream. If you've been to any of the games this year, pretty sure it started in full in the Nebraska game, but the towels that they hand out to all of the fans. This is the Cignetti towel. This started as a shirt for the students and then became a towel. These are a hot commodity. If people would have known, on eBay, they're selling for, the first couple sold for 100. They're going all day long for like 30 or 40 a piece, which is nuts because you handed out, 52,000 of them. But I would love to hear the stories behind how the towels got started. And obviously it's not like, no offense, you're awesome. It's not like you're the first person to think of towels at games and people have had them before, but it is. I mean, I've been going to IU games since the mid 80s. I don't remember it being a thing like it is. And it feels like it's growing into something with this team. So if you talk about kind of the genesis of how you got the idea and then the idea of doing one for every single fan in the stadium.
Yeah. So we'll go a little bit back to the beginning. So the shirts themselves, that was a student athletic board thing. So the students came up with those shirts, and then I could feel it in real time. Like my teenage daughter asked if I could steal one of the student shirts. And then we're getting like donors emailing that their adult sons who live in Chicago would love one of the shirts. And so it was this popular thing. And then you just go around town and you'd see it, you just see people wearing these shirts.
I can speak for myself. I was there. I saw the student. I'm like, I want one of those. Like, those are great shirts.
It was unreal. And so it became a popular thing. And then I think a lot of clothing companies started making contraband versions of this. Yep. I will tell you that let's just say that they are going to continue to be collector's items as people have kind of caught wind of it a little bit here.
No, there's a really cool, and I'm not promoting it, but there is a really cool, like almost black market Cignetti stuff, merchandise on the internet right now. That's it's wild and really fun when you're 9-0. Go ahead.
Sure. I want to state for the athletic department did not purchase those shirts back in the day, so I want to make sure that we've got that abundantly clear. And then every Monday since Kurt's taken over as coach, I meet with the director of operations for football, Blake Jackson, and he's got kind of a list of things he thought went well, things like, why are we doing this, all that kind of stuff, which in a weird way makes the department feel very accountable. Like you feel like you have to have answers to these things when you pull in on Monday morning. It's not bad. It's not high maintenance. You don't feel run over or unappreciated, but it's one of those things like, oh, yeah, like actually, can we make sure this moves out of the way so it's easier to run on the field? It can be as minor as those types of things. And so we got done with the Maryland game where it was the first game after he had sent the note telling everybody to stay.
Right.
And
don't study and come to the game, which I love.
Yeah, don't study and come to the game. And they did stay. But then Kurt actually sent to Scott a list of some suggestions of what he would like to do. And they were minor. Overall, I think he's been very happy with the experience other than the first game this year.
Right.
And, he had a series of suggestions. One of the things, and it's important to kind of learn who your coach is, I get the sense that Alabama is a template because of his time there.
Right.
It's why he wanted Thunderstruck to be what they run out of the tunnel to, I think. I think he just liked the vibe of that. And he didn't like the chop motion on third down because I think it reminds him of Florida.
Right.
And so they're like, is there something we can do to get rid of the chop thing? And then they had an idea that they used at James Madison where after they would score touchdowns, they'd throw streamers down the stands and all that kind of stuff. And so we kind of commiserated on this. And I said, he's also from Pittsburgh, and I'm a Pittsburgh Steeler person. Maybe towels can replace the chomp. And I know IU students well enough that if you give them things to throw, they're going to end up on the field. It's not going to be a civilized streamer throw at IU.
Right.
Like, James Franklin's going to get hit in the dome with one of these things if we hand that to students. So we got to think of something that maybe accomplishes what he wants, which is a cool visual after we score and something to replace the third quarter or the third down. And I thought, terrible towel. What if we had our own version of the terrible towel? And that can replace some things. And so I sent that to Blake Jackson. They generally speaking like the idea. The first one was the cheeky one on study later.
Right.
And we could only print enough on that short of an order for the students themselves. And it just looked great. I mean, it worked better than we could ever imagine. And then we had people asking us for more. And then it was that Sunday morning before I got to meet with Blake on Monday. And I texted Mark Skirvin, who actually is day-to-day overseeing marketing. And I go, I think towels might be our thing. And we're really worried about getting people in early before kickoff for the game against Washington. It was a noon game. Students all arrive at 11:45. The lines are super long. It's extremely difficult for our operations folks to be able to manage that. And we wanted to make sure people had a good experience getting in the stadium and we're there at kickoff to make it an imposing environment. So we're like, what if we gave out a different towel every single game to compel people to get to their seats as fast as they possibly could, along with the happy hour deal that we have at some of our concession stands where beer and hot dogs are cheaper if you get in early.
And by the way, happy hour idea is when I saw that, I'm like, this is genius. Like that's such a good idea.
Yeah. When you win, the ideas flow a little bit better.
Yeah.
And so those two things kind of combined, and there was the second towel, and now they're collector's items. And the contrast with it and the red out, it just looked gorgeous with all those drone shots. And now it's something that we got to do every week from now until the end of time. But it's something that now Learfield wants to sell to sponsors. Like, who wouldn't want to sponsor the collector's towel? Like, we're going to be able to maybe get some of these things paid for. Adidas wants in on it. So it's had a bit of a life of its own. But I think we accidentally on purpose have come up with a new tradition with IU football that's pretty special.
No, and it's cool to be there for it. And this is something Gail and I have talked about. You mentioned the third down chomp. It is, with Indiana football having not a ton of success over time, there's been just a weird mishmash of these little traditions and things where, and then there's like the first down song where you used to do the up and down. And remember my friend, I had an old boss, pseudo friend who he was an Ohio State guy. He's always like, why are you guys always milking the cow when you get a first down? Like, I don't know. We do that. And then, the song was long. And then I think Kevin Wilson didn't like it. So it got shortened. And I forget even where the chomp, I think we started playing the Jaws thing on third down and that happened. And it's like all of these things are just disconnected things that happened at one point and kind of some stayed and some didn't. And it never felt like there was cohesiveness. This is the first one that feels like, oh, this is cohesive and can be kind of a thing that goes forward. It's really cool that we're all here as it happened this year. Yeah,
and it's something that it's impossible to be next to somebody waving a towel and you not wanting to do it at the same time. It's like it's naturally contagious in that way. And it also doesn't hurt that they can still play Jaws.
Right.
And it still works with the rhythm and the cadence. Yeah, some of the things with football have hit and some have missed over time. They added the victory flag. That one really has worked over time, like raise the flag after wins. But then other things have tried and failed and been started and maybe discontinued too soon, haven't really stuck with the plan. But this year, starting in July, we asked Scott, hey, can we gut this whole experience and change it? And some of the decisions very early on were unpopular. But so far, a decent percentage of them have hit, and I don't think any of them have hit better than the towels.
Yeah, no, and the visual is unbelievable, and it's I'm sure you probably feel the same way. But for myself, growing up in Bloomington, going to games, we've been a season ticket holder with our family since 2009. Going to that game against Washington, hearing the crowd, seeing the towels, seeing it 98% full for the start of the game. It was literally like goosebumps. It's like, this is the coolest I've ever seen Memorial Stadium. And we're recording this on Thursday. I'm already excited. I'm telling my wife wasn't able to go to the game last against Washington. She's coming, we're all going down together against Michigan. And I'm like, I really think Michigan, just based on where we are, the ranking, it being Michigan, I think this might be the best experience we're ever going to see at Memorial Stadium up to this point this weekend, because now people have an expectation. They know the towels are going to be there. They know to get there early. It's a 3:30 kick, so you have a lot of time to get a little bit amped up. You shouldn't be running late. I'm telling my wife, like, get ready. This might be the coolest start to a game you've ever seen for any of us in our life.
Well, I think a couple of things have changed in the last couple of weeks with the home games. One is our players are now notably famous. I love Tevin Coleman, and he might be better than anybody on our current team, but he could walk down Kirkwood totally anonymously. And now you have like Mike Kadig, is like a campus cult figure. And so people are here now for the football, and they're thinking about the game. They know the players' names. They're in it to win it. I think that has changed. I think the city has changed. And I'm not throwing shade at anybody, but the first time we had game day was that Ohio State game. And the local schools had back-to-school night, the night of the Ohio State football game. That just doesn't happen in Madison, Wisconsin, or Athens, Georgia.
Fair point.
I get the sense that the city is now behind it in a real way. Like, people are rearranging. Oh no, we're not going to. The Cutters aren't going to play in a travel soccer tournament that weekend. Indiana plays Michigan.
Right.
We're all going to the game. Like, we'll play the next weekend on the bye week, and we'll play a soccer tournament in Fishers that weekend. I feel like people are rearranging their schedules for the actual game itself in a way that's that's different and very, very exciting. Curt Cignetti's changed the town. He really has.
Here's a couple of questions back to the towel. We'll keep talking overall IU football. The question about the towel I have is this logo is awesome. Here's the question as a marketing guy. That's the Marlboro logo. Marlboro is a company. Like, how are you able to do this? Do you have their permission to do this? Like, I'm curious how that works.
We do not have their permission, and it's over. So,
okay, collector's items.
Yeah, going back to the baseball card thing, that's the Billy Ripken card with the profanity on the bottom of the baseball bat. That's going to be a collector's item. So, flew too close to the sun. We got in some trouble there, so we got to stop it.
I get you, man. I love it. It's awesome. You don't need to tell me the answer unless you want to. Are there? I mean, because you started study later, and then the Cignetti logo. I'm assuming the rest of the year, their two-part question, there will be towels for Michigan and Purdue, and I'm assuming there will be different types of towels for the last game. Each
one's going to be different. We're going to think of different things, and they're going to go back to maybe a brand that's important to Curt Cignetti, like baking in the ethos of his team. I think the Michigan one will fall into that. I think we're going to have some fun playfulness with the Purdue towel. And then, I don't know, we're going to get a comedy writing team, and you're welcome to join if you want Scott to come up with the 6 or 7 home game towels for next year.
Dude, I would love nothing more to be on that committee. That would be amazing.
For sure. And actually, a lot of this stuff is really fan-generated. The Curtis Pork stuff, the fake restaurant stuff. I long wanted Never Daunted to be our hashtag. And Scott, like I said in July ago, are we allowed to kind of strip this thing to the bones and rebuild kind of a coherent thing that's not patching things from different eras? I said, sure. And I go, well, I think Go IU never took off. Let's go with Never Daunted. And now we've got like a whole bunch of online burners are psychotic about Never Daunted. And now it's on T-shirts for like our field hockey team. So
right.
That sounds a little vain, like it was my idea. It's not. But like these things are better actually when they're fan generated than when they're a lot of the traditions that you were talking about that felt like they didn't fit. It was 3 people like me in a room trying to manufacture traditions. The best ones are the organic ones.
Have you been able to find like a supplier who can bang out 55,000 towels in time? Obviously you did, but is that tough to do?
Yeah, the towel that so I came up with the bright idea that this should be our thing, and we got to do a different one every week, the Sunday before the Washington game. And so the final 20,000 towels actually got delivered 10 p.m. the night before the game. And so God. we had people here until like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning putting those things out. And actually not all the towels were the same material. They're like, we can get you 50 grand of these, but they're going to be different sizes. Shit. We're like, we don't give a damn. But going
you are increasing the market now of like now it's not just a Billy Ripken card. There's like an A level and a B level. So like you can collect like the 3 different variants of Cignetti towels.
What have I done here? But yeah, they were different materials.
You're gonna start getting weird text like in your DMs like, hey Jeremy, can you authenticate the Cignetti? Is it a level A or a level B towel?
For sure. And then we had an hour meeting today. Do we pass them out at the vomitories? Or do we lay them on the seats, the pluses and minuses of each? No matter which one we pick, people will be upset about it. But we're kind of talking through that. But I think we got to systematize how we buy them and how we spread them out going forward. I can't do that to the staff ever again, to be honest, and be able to keep anybody working here.
If you continue to put them on seats, not that I'm part of the committee, but one of the things I loved when the Pacers had their playoff run, I go to those games as well. They would put on Instagram kind of the slow motion or time lapse of them putting all of the towels around Cambridge, which is really cool. So not that I'm telling you what to do, but those are cool shots of a stadium with no towels. And then it's like, I will watch that and I suddenly get fed the videos of, Lucas Oil changing between Monster Jam Truck Rally and football. And it's like, for some reason, I can't watch enough of those things, or like, Madison Square Garden going from hockey to basketball to hockey. But those are really cool time lapse shots. If you end up doing that, that could be a good thing for, kids at the Cuban Center to do for marketing.
Well, yeah, and we've even gotten direct messages. Like a lot of the never daunted people are wanting to know. Hey, you just let me know, and I'll help lay out the towels. Like we got like an army that wants to do this kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a movement might be strong, but it's a thing, and I think it's here to stay, and I think it's going to be something that we're going to have a lot of fun with. And there'll be somebody who starts framing these for big wins. I think it's got a chance, to have kind of a long afterlife here.
I completely agree, and it'd be cool if it becomes something where it's just there's a towel for every game, and you keep the series, and maybe there. I agree. You mentioned something earlier, so it's pretty obvious from what you're saying. Coach Cignetti is not only aware of these towels, like he's for them, enjoying it, and kind of having part of the process on what's on them. Correct?
Yeah, yes. One, you got to run that by them before,
right?
Like, hey, this is our idea. Are you guys okay with that? But yeah, we got kind of Pittsburgh Steelery, and we got rid of the Florida Gators chomp. So I think he's a happy, and we won both games on national television. So I think he's pretty happy with it.
Yeah. Well, no, it's Jeremy. It's an awesome addition to the game day experience. It's something cool. I love that they kind of became a thing. I love that we're getting different ones for the year. I love that we're looking at doing them all for next year. And so just kind of wanted to talk about how it started, and it's been great talking to you about it. I want to end with this. Couple of thoughts as a longtime season ticket holder and a friend. While I have you on,
the comment box. Here we go.
Here we go. I mean, come on, man. It's like I
don't have a damn thing to do with the bathrooms. If that's where you go,
no. And I let me preface it by saying this. We've been season ticket holders since 2009, and I said this on one of the other pods. I will say it again here. If you're listening to this and you haven't been in game this year, come to a game. Not only is the team great and fun to watch, the entire experience is better than I've seen in the entire time I've been here. And I've said this even, I think, after the Eastern Illinois game, like early in the season or after the Maryland game. Getting in and out is better. You mentioned the city being more into it. Like they've done a better job just moving traffic out after games. It used to be really bad. It isn't. The bathrooms, the concessions, like all of it's been updated. So for anybody who hasn't been to Memorial Stadium in 5 or 6 years, and it's like, oh man, it's all like if you haven't been there this year, it's like, I don't put a lot of weight in what you say. So that's just, I preface it with nothing but flowers. That said, Fred Glass did something, two things. One, super easy. I think the sound on the intro video just needs to be louder. Thunderstruck needs to be louder. Like turn it up. I know it's, stand up old people. I'm turning into the old people, but like, let's turn it up. But Fred Glass did something that I actually liked. There's nothing between
He did a lot of great things, by the way. We had no effort into these areas before he took over. Then he hired Pat Kraft. I got to do it for a couple of years. Becky Panny, Stephen Harper. A lot of people have added, like, if you compare it to the pre-Fred Glass years, our outer fence was barbed wire. Like, I mean, it is a much better situation. So he deserves a lot of credit for this.
I agree. He started between the third and fourth quarters playing the William Tell Overture and the IU song. It's the only thing that I've noticed. I brought up on the podcast before. I'll just say it in the comment box. You get the end of the third quarter. We went out to the Rose Bowl, and obviously you can't do what they do, but like they have this cool, like they turn off the lights, go lights on and off. They play California. It's a cool thing. Obviously Wisconsin has the jump around. I'm not saying you do either of those. I don't know what the answer is, but it does feel like the energy is kind of just waiting for something to be there. And maybe we just need to let it organically happen. Maybe it's bringing back the fight song with the William Tell Overture. I don't know, but I do know it does feel like we kind of just put the 4 up. I think they play the We Will Rock You. And it's like, personal take, it's not working. It feels like there's a real opening there to do something new as we continue to grow things. Maybe that's where we throw the streamers at James Franklin. Like that's where we do that.
No, so actually, if I could address both of them, and not in a Harris Trump way, like we're not in a debate here, but so when we
a lot of good people on both sides, Jeremy.
Yes, you're correct.
I'm looking at the future. A better IE for all of us.
There's some wholesale changes we wanted to make. So one was, I always thought it was bizarre we didn't run out of a tunnel. Like we used to let the team out to watch the intro video on the field. They'd sway back and forth, and then they would come out. I'm like, we're running out of a tunnel. Like it's a saying for a reason. People run out of the tunnel. And the second thing is I wanted to drastically upgrade our video board shows. Went to Auburn, which is the gold standard of how they run video board shows for the Auburn-Alabama basketball game last year. We've put a lot into that. That seems subtle, but like when the Red Steppers come on, they have a mini intro video. When we have 7 tackles for loss, then we play all 7 tackles for loss. So like little kind of contouring of the video board show, close up on the ball on kickoff, little things like that I wanted to upgrade. I always thought it was a bad metaphor for our football program that our walk to the rock was we get off the bus and actually walk for a time in the wrong direction to the football stadium. Like go all the way to the top of Assembly Hall and then come down those stairs. It's a dramatic visual. But the reason we didn't do it is it was hard to turn the buses around, which is not a reason not to do it. I wanted to pack the sidelines, so we put the ROTC down there because back in the day we'd score a touchdown and I'm the only person they could give a high five to there because it was too clean. And so we changed some of those. The ticket office changed the student seating arrangement to make it more cohesive. That made people upset. I actually got my seats booted out, but I think
that was a great. We've mentioned it many times. That was a great change. I sit in section 8. It's just to the left of me. It is so much louder. I mean, I'm even talking, the first games of the season. It was so much louder. So that's a huge plus. So
the 2 things that you brought up, I agree. I agree with largely speaking. The first one was the sound. We have an antiquated audio system. All of the speakers come out of the large scoreboard on the south end.
Yeah.
So you have a wildly varying degree of audio depending upon, you can barely even hear it on the field. The better your seats, the worse you hear it. But you also might lose your hearing if you're in row 30 on the south end.
Right.
Just monodirectional. We've got to figure out a way to get a better sound situation here. So it might be the volume. You might be right on this, but it's been something we've tinkered with and experimented with for a long time. And I think we just built it stupid. And I think our days of building these things out poorly should be over. And then the third quarter song, one of the IU issues in my mind is we've tried to overthink the song. And if it doesn't work 3 times, we've junked it. We've tried Mellencamp. We've tried the William Tell. We've tried all these things.
Yeah.
It was like, what's your song? And the first week we played We Will Rock You, the Maryland game, it worked. It has not worked, weirdly, nearly as well for the Nebraska and Washington games. I don't know about changing horses midstream because we've tried 50 things over the last 10 years. None of them have worked. But I think it's something that we got to contemplate maybe at the end of the season here. We like rock theme, the same thing every time. No matter how musically untalented you are, you can keep a beat to it. We'll see if it hits or not. But I take it under consideration. I'm totally willing to junk it if, still by the end of the year, it hadn't caught on.
Well, maybe it's not even a song. Maybe it's something with flags. I don't know. It just does feel like that's a moment where you could really get it back. And maybe it's just you bring the towels back in somehow. It's like, all right, everyone start waving the towels to make something happen. Or like, that's where, in art, we love the bison. Like maybe that's where a bison comes out and he raises a flag up that shows the towels. Like, I don't know. Now I'm getting nuts, but everything you're doing is great. I will say when I went to the Iowa game at Iowa in 2021, their pregame was awesome. They start playing Back in Black, but they have that same, you follow the players walking out of the locker room. The place goes ballistic. They have the number countdown. And so when we started doing that, showing the video of the players walking through the tunnel, I was like, this is awesome because the Pacers do that also. Like it's a really cool thing.
So I want to talk about an MVP before you let me go.
Oh yeah.
Danny Malikoff is a person who's worked in video here for a while. But she used to work in Rock Chalk Video at Kansas and then did some of the video board stuff at Mississippi State. And we just said, give us a great video board show. And that was the first suggestion she made. So I'm glad that you noticed it. You'll notice different things with basketball when you come to the games here too. Like a good video board show, it's like ambiance in a restaurant. You can't put your finger on it, but it actually really does matter. And it sets the tone. And so she's doing a good job. But you're totally willing to revisit the third quarter thing. And, the suggestion box is open. and it's a great donor opportunity if you want to buy us a new sound system.
I need to make a little more money before I can do that.
Or just sell Cignetti towels and we'll use the proceeds.
No, you're right. If I would have known there was $100 sitting on every seat at the stadium, I would have pissed off a lot of fans of walking out with a garbage bag full of Cignetti towels. But while I have you, I will say, like, I gotta say, not to give, I gave a comment box. I will give a positive thing too. I've always been actually very impressed with the video intros that the teams have had over the years. I know it's been a progressively growing setup, but I go back to, the Bison running across the stadium,
I love those.
Wilson era, to I think Metallica. I liked that one. There was one, I think it was I'll shout them out. I think I got it right. Too Tall Animation I follow them on Instagram. They do animation stuff, but they did, I think, the one of, it was like a cartoon IU players over real images of Indiana University.
Yeah, absolutely.
That one was like 2 or 3 years ago. That was a really cool intro. So I will say IU to me has always had really good introduction kind of hype videos. So it's been fun to see them continue to grow that up as well.
We just had to marry it with the actual way the team comes out, where it was like a standalone thing, marrying them together, showing them coming in and out of the locker room and then playing that video. That's kind of what builds it.
Last question. If we end up hosting, is there discussion on your end of doing something even more like next level if we end up hosting a college football playoff game?
I will say this, and there can be a variety of criticisms over about the athletic department in my time here, and many of them have been my fault, or I at least played a part in it. One thing IU does well, and it's universal, from hosting NCAA women's basketball tournament games to when we hosted regionals in baseball. It's almost like we're the kissing cousin of Indianapolis with major events.
Right.
We will do more than most schools on this kind of stuff. So I think we'll do what we can to take it to the next level. We're good event planners, I think.
I for a variety of reasons, I really hope we get to play a college football playoff game at Memorial Stadium. And with you at the helm, I'm excited to see what that towel would look like.
Well, I'll tell you, I had that itch, like probably all of you did, when we got down 10-0 to Michigan State. It's like, oh, well, at some point the come down was going to come,
right.
And then 47 unanswered. I'm on the SIG train totally now, like I was before, but like now I'm like, you know what? We might win 2 games in the college football playoff and have a chance to play for the national championship. Like, I don't have the imposed limitations anymore. You get a team. I'm not going to start naming names, but you look at a lot of those teams that are in that top 12 here at Memorial Stadium. I kind of like our chances.
Yeah, no, I mean, our first, the first college football playoff bracket came out. We're playing at Tennessee. Funny, it's like Gator Bowl reunion. But I'm like, all right, that would be a tough game. But I see a lot of IU fans possibly trying to travel down to that one, and then. It's like I'm looking at it, I'm like kind of like our side of the bracket, which is just wild. Which is just a wild. Like, all you got to do is kind of get past Oregon in that one, and like maybe Ohio State falters along the way, and But I've seen other. When you kind of factor in what could still happen, looking at where we play, it's like, well, if we could get on BYU in the second round, like there's a world where I could see us just getting into the Final Four in the final game. It's wild, but playing at home, having another towel would be absolutely awesome. But Jeremy, it's been great talking to you. I appreciate all the work you've done over the years. And dude, again, here on video, the Cignetti towel I'm holding up. This is my, we thought to circle back, we thought Topps cards were going to be it. This is my retirement. I'm cashing out the 401k. I'm just keeping it all on the Cignetti towel. Because I also know this might be the special blend. Like this might be the softest blend that there is out there.
That's the premium. Yeah, that's the gold upper deck.
Yes, this is the first 100. The run 10. God, you should have had them numbered. Like you really should have had like numbers and got that. Really pissed your staff off. Like I need to get a Sharpie and write.
But we're never doing it again. We're never doing it again. We understand that it was too close. We're never doing it again.
So no, Jeremy, it was awesome. Thank you so much. It's been fun talking about this because I think this is something that it sounds like this is going to live on for quite some time, become part of the IU game day experience. And we saw it all happen over the last 5 weeks, which is really, really cool. I know it was a lot of work for you and your team and probably a lot of headaches, especially getting the towels in 10 o'clock the night before the game. That's wild. That's wild to think that was happening. They're setting up game day. I mean, that's nuts.
It was fun. It's the fun type of hard work.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
We're glad to have it. And we're glad that the fans have responded to it. And one of the satisfying parts of the job is just seeing people happy on a game day. Like it's just been special to walk back to your car after the game and just seeing friends having a great time. So
completely agree. And if this podcast provides me anything, if it gets me on any kind of subcommittee to have any say in what a towel says next year, then this 15 years has been totally worth it. That would be awesome.
Hey, I mean, like right to my face on an interview that you asked me last minute to join. I mean, you brought up 2 ideas. I know you're an idea factory. Let's get you to work.
Well, right. I will end as Galen ends. I want to thank Jeremy. Thank you for joining the podcast. It's been great having you on here. Thank everybody for listening. And as Galen would say, remember, bring back the Bison, but stay never daunted. Jeremy would love that. Thank you guys for listening. For Crimson Cast, this is Scott signing off.
Hey, thanks, Scott.
All right. End of recording and goodbye, YouTube.
Yep.